and rolling.
All right, so there was a political comic before me, and he was handicapped, and so, and a comic before him had diabetes, and so like there was a couple of like sad stories, and of course my set had to deal with a Jamaican retard of Jar Jar Binks and diabetes. So I cut the diabetes bit, and I kind of forgot that the Jamaican retard thing was in there, and I lost the whole front table the second I called Jar Jar Binks a Jamaican retard.
Night 7 was the Baja Bar and Grill again.
This is my second night doing the Baja Grill. It's a pretty cool place.
Last week I had a great time at the Baja Bar and Grill.
I know Kung Fu. Hey, I know Kung Fu too, man. Asian guy on this down the street from me. Really nice guy. He's teaching me karate.
This week did not go the same way.
Like one of them
Once again, everyone was quiet. I was nervous. I had this stupid smile. I was pacing around.
Oh, you had a Schwarzenegger thing.
Alex Ansel did a bit where he said he wasn't going to do a stupid, hacky Arnold Schwarzenegger impression, and so I said,
You want the cheesy fucking Schwarzenegger thing? Yeah, I'll do that. I didn't have this one planned. I got it in the bag. Fuck you, I'm doing it anyway.
And I did a bit that wasn't ready yet. I ended up doing it later on, and it was really good. But it was kind of on the spot, and I was a little nervous anyway, and it just didn't work well.
Everybody get down! Yeah, that's right. Everybody sit down. No, look, there's no chairs here. I said everybody get down.
It didn't feel right. The placement of the set was weird, and it was a new set, so it was nerve-wracking already. I did a thing that I tell impressionists never to do.
I do a bunch of what my lady friends call fucking voices. So
I started the set saying I do voices. So they're already expecting to hear voices.
Anybody know who Wilford Brimley is?
Yeah.
Old white guy looks like a fucking grumpy cat. Yeah, that guy.
What I should have done is do some voices first and then say, you realize I do voices.
I'm all crazy on oatmeal. I'm Wilford Brimley. I'm being held up by rope.
So I rushed through all the laughs, and then I actually had 2 applause breaks, and I rushed through those too.
Talking to my good ear. What?
Gilbert Gottfried will come out, I know.
He just looks dead. That's Christopher Walken, man. That's right, boys. I got away with it too if it weren't for you meddling kids.
Scooby keeps attacking him.
I just stepped right on those applause breaks. It pissed me off. Like while I'm doing it. You ever have that feeling like you can see yourself behaving in a way, but there's nothing you can do to stop it? That's what it was. You're like, oh, I just got an applause break. Keep going. Just fuck the applause. Just get out of here.
This week on Scooby-Doo, the gang meets Tommy John.
I fucked up the beginning of the Scooby-Doo bit, and it threw the whole thing off.
Like a man in my high school. Rubber Raggy. Wow, man, that's the most acid I ever saw a dog take, man. Wow.
When it's not going well, I have a tendency to have the nervous laugh and start pacing around. But the biggest problem is I don't give it the performance that it deserves, and that always fucks you up.
Kermit the Frog singing 9 Inch Nails.
I want to fuck you like an animal. I'm a frog.
That's alright. He does. He's the only one in that group that does.
If you're not giving it 100%, it's gonna suck. And when you're bombing, you don't give it 100%. You just don't. Because you immediately start second guessing, start overthinking everything. You're certainly not performing every bit the way you want to do.
Get life alert, or I'll invade your home.
Which only makes the bombing worse.
I'm Wilford Brimley, and I'm already dead.
You become introspective, it becomes a downward spiral, and everything just kind of falls apart. And anybody who's watching is going to be like, this guy fucking sucks. Who's this fucking guy? He needs to get out of comedy. He needs to just get the fuck out of comedy. Bombing.
Sometimes that hurts.
Bombing sucks.
you don't feel smaller or dumber.
Seriously, it's the worst thing in the world.
It's a necessary part of your growth as a comic. It's going to happen.
There's been bombs that will like hurt you for a year later. Like you still have nightmares about them.
It's so easy to just tell yourself. There's always that voice in the back of your head that makes you think like you shouldn't be doing this. What makes you think you should be up here talking to anyone? How'd you get a microphone? Who gave that to you? You idiot.
You know how they say that the number one fear is public speaking? Well, people aren't afraid of speaking in front of people. They're afraid of bombing. That's the whole reason it's a fear. It's literally the biggest fear on the fucking planet. Bombing sucks a lot.
Every comedian is bombed. If a comedian tell you they've never bombed in their life, they haven't ever done a stand-up show. Ever. Or they've only done one, it went really well, and they never did it again.
In no other art form is it truer that perception is reality. If they're not laughing at you, you're not funny. It doesn't matter if you know you're funny, or if your manager thinks you're funny, or the club owner thinks you're funny. If they're not laughing, that particular moment, you're just not funny.
You learn something when you bomb.
Bombing is when none of your jokes hit. And it really kind of snowballs.
You live and die by whether the audience laughs or not.
You grow when you bomb. It's like when you get broken up with the first time. You grow as an adult a little bit when you get your heart just ripped out and ate.
And once the audience decides they don't like you, it's really hard to win them back.
Or you accidentally kill your first migrant worker.
They no longer accept what you're telling them.
You forget to change the oil of your wife's car and it explodes on the highway. All of these things. You learn from these mistakes. Or you get a new wife.
You can do something that's just having them rolling in the aisles one night, you deliver the same lines, the same way, and you get what I call the Elmer Fudd polite laugh.
It's just a vibe. Sometimes you click, sometimes you don't. Sometimes your joke that kills every single time will just hit the wrong ears and the wrong crowd.
The people that tend to bomb the worst are like white guys that want to say the N-word on stage, stuff like that. Or if they want to talk about a bunch of politics, like I don't talk about politics or really, anything controversial because I just don't give a shit about any of that stuff.
The big thing is when you go up on stage and you're at an open mic, and after you're done, you know you didn't do good. Doesn't matter, but when the host comes up and like rips into you, that's something that you don't forget about.
I've gotten girlfriends from good shows. I've lost friends from bad shows.
There's a different vibe in the room. It shifts when a comedian starts bombing. It's tangible. You can feel it. You can watch the audience suddenly close up.
You almost feel like a drunk professor giving a lecture to a bunch of sober people who've never had a sip of beer before.
It's like the audience hates you. They don't dislike your topics, they don't dislike your comedy, they dislike you as a person.
It's no longer about your jokes. It's about you. They don't want you there anymore. They want somebody else.
Think about how many people say, like, oh, I hate Will Ferrell, oh, I hate Ben Stiller. They don't say that I don't like their comedy, they say I fucking hate that guy.
Sometimes you gotta know you're bombing and get the fuck off stage. Just be, I'm not. And thank you for your time, that's my time. You folks have a good night. And then don't be the a-hole and blame the audience. It's not the audience's fault. You didn't do well that night.
I've seen good comics have a really bad show and then just stop, like forever.
If you got a joke about the Klan and you tell it in Compton, it might get a great joke. You tell the same joke in Alabama, you might not get a laugh.
Bombing's hard to recover from, but you kind of have to do it. It's part of it.
Know your audience and just be aware that every comedian is going to bomb sometime. That's part of the risk. That's part of the risk of being a comedian.
The thing that turned around the Johnson brothers, we had one really, really bad show, and many of us never came back.
Improv comedy bomb, that's the worst.
What I did that night was I wrote, I think, 20 games. I came up with a song. I just started writing and I said, I'm not going to let this die. And so I went back with the two other people that stayed with the group. It was me and two other people after one bad show. We ended up turning the whole fucking thing around and making it something huge. So if you can push past bombing, that's when you can really start to grow. The next night, night 8, was back at the Stateside Lounge to try out basically a whole new set. Alright, I'm gonna leave you on that shit. That's good enough. I realized a lot of things after that performance. I went home and pretty much rewrote the entire act, including a bunch of new stuff that I wrote that night, and it ended up being some of the best parts. I changed the lineup, I put voices at the end, I did some voices.
I'm Wilford Brimley. I'm old and I'm pudgy and I look like the grumpy cat.
And then I said,
I do a lot of what my ex-wife called fucking voices.
before I said,
I do a bunch of what my lady friends call fucking voices. So
when I added it to my ex-wife, it made it personal.
If y'all ready to have a good time, let me hear you say hell yeah.
Hell yeah!
That's what I'm talking about.
Melvin had me take the bullet, which, as you know from the last time, means going first.
I want y'all to put your hands together right now for the very first comedian. I want you to put your hands together right now for Strangling Jack. Let's go!
Misa Jar Jar Binks! Misa shut down the franchise.
The placement of the jokes worked much better.
And it's racist. You guys know that it's racist, right? It's like, yeah. Oh, absolutely.
The new stuff that I wrote ended up being the best part.
Misa, a Jamaican retard for you to laugh at. Misa, clown for the white man. Dance, Jar Jar. And I can't decide which is worse, Jar Jar Binks or Anakin's shit mother. Right? Okay. If you haven't thought about this, listen. Like, what kind of fucked up mother allows their 10-year-old to compete in a death race? Right? It's like, next week they're signing him up for the Hunger Games. They're trying to kill that fucking kid, right?
I pretty much wrote the entire Star Wars bit that day at work.
Do you keep your kid around to make money off of him because he's a genius? No, you send him away to live with a couple of strangers from a space religion. Right? It's a priest and an altar boy from the sky.
Jar Jar Binks, Anakin's mother, the priest and altar boy from the sky. All that stuff was written that day at work.
No. Bring the boy with me. We'll give him robes and a shitty haircut. And then we'll pray.
Then I added in the daytime TV bit, but I started it with...
I was watching daytime television today,
and then I immediately interrupted myself.
And I started to, well, first of all, let me backtrack. The reason I was watching daytime television is because the only other thing on was Star Wars Phantom Menace.
It was a good way to do it because then it allowed me to have a natural callback spot and finish off the bit with...
So I'm watching daytime television, and I stumble across, the diabetes commercials? Diabetes. Okay, right?
And so just back to where I began. It was a big sidetrack.
I have diabetes. And if you want to keep your foot, you got to stab yourself in the fingertips every day to make sure you can still eat birthday cake.
I had the Wilford Brimley bit, which was old, but I added the whole thing about diabetes and having to stab yourself to eat birthday cake, and they howled at that. They thought that was hilarious.
It's like, get Liberty Medical. You'll be glad you did. I'm Wilford Brimley, and I need a nap.
The Wilford Brimley bit is weird. I know it's weird, but it's something that came up while we were making a really odd music video.
I got 2 olives in my martini. 2 olives in my martini. Oh, and then I got 1.
And I just started going off on Wilford Brimley being a curmudgeon.
He is grumpy, he's a curmudgeon.
And it was hilarious. And so I worked that into a bit, and it's still pretty funny.
He's browbeating the audience. Quaker Oats. It's the right thing to do, and a tasty way to do it. I'm Wilford Brimley, and I'm being held up by rope.
And possibly my favorite part came on the spot. I said...
So I changed the channel.
It was better, but it still wasn't up to par with what I'd done before. It certainly wasn't up to par with Asmara. It was better, but it still wasn't good. The next night I went to Champagne's and the place was packed. There was a lot of yelling and hooting and hollering and yeehaws! It threw me off, I have to say. Also, there was another impressionist from Los Angeles and the audience fucking tore him apart. He did some Trump stuff and the audience said, "You know we voted for him, rat!" They basically made him leave the stage. After that, I just left. I said, fuck this shit, and I'm out. Well, it's the only one to this day that I didn't do. But seeing that guy get torn apart, the shitty week that I'd had already, the Trump audience, I knew that if I went up, I might not do it anymore. I said, nope, This is a bad sign, and I fucking took off. Also, just a note for impressionists, don't say want to hear some impressions, just do the fucking voices. If you say want to hear some impressions, they're going to immediately expect you to do either really good impressions, or they might be the type of person that hates impressionists, but either way, you're not going to wow them with anything, and they're going to judge you more harshly.
That's how I know that Abraham Lincoln was a stoner, right? Just getting high on free and slaves, like.
Oh shit, man, you mean they're not getting paid all this time?
If you just do the voices while telling a story, they don't even realize they're hearing an impression.
He kept going after the Native Americans. This is really weird. Like, that was his big thing. It's time for them to pay the fair share. You guys remember that? Oh, yeah.
They just hear Keanu Reeves, they just hear Schwarzenegger, and if the voices are good, then it's more impressive, it hits harder, because the audience doesn't see it coming.
The first night at open mic was at a place called LA Cabaret. LA Cabaret is one of those places that open micers ran from. Surprisingly, because comedy is a defense mechanism, I don't know what happened. I was on. I was great. After the show, this cat came up to me and he said, "You really understand it, man. You really understand comedy. Keep going." And all I could think is, I don't know what the fuck he's talking about. I don't understand shit, man. But that's what happened. And the second night, I did so badly. I told the joke wrong and backed up trying to tell the joke again, my voice cracking and the audience feeling sorry for me. They weren't mean and I didn't want them to feel sorry for me. Come on, man. So I would have been better if they booed me, man. It was a horrible night on stage and literally, I joined the army after that. I was like, shoot me, fuck it. If I could take a bullet after that, I had no problem. A real bullet.
This is my first time seeing him, man. Y'all give him a warm Boomer's welcome. Y'all give it up for Strangling Jack.
The next night, night 9, was Boomer's Bar.
I just did Boomer's Bar.
It started off okay.
We gotta look at the bright side of things. It's gonna be a really good year for comedy. You guys remember the Bush administration? Right. That shit was hilarious.
But then, I kind of lost everybody when I referred to Jar Jar Binks as a Jamaican retard.
Me's a Jamaican retard for you to laugh at. Me's a clown for the white man.
That's a joke that killed over at the Stateside Lounge, but tonight it was really bad because of the differences in the room.
There was a handicap comic that came up right before my set, and he was really good.
Give it up for Brandon Johnson. Goddamn, that was good.
And a comic before him had diabetes.
So when I called someone retarded right after a really good handicap stand-up comedian, it just shut them down completely. They literally turned around.
Maybe I should have done different jokes tonight just because every single thing that I was going to talk about happened to be addressed in a negative way before my set.
And it sucked because I knew that it wasn't going to be very good from that point on, and so I also wasn't expecting myself to do very well. And so that changed my whole fucking headspace.
What kind of horrible mother lets their 10-year-old compete in a death race? Right? It's real. They're crashing into shit. Like the sand people are taking pot shots at them.
They did laugh at the priest and altar boy from the sky. So another thing that I wrote 2 days ago actually worked there, which is good. It confirmed something.
If you haven't seen the movie, this is all fucking real. And no wonder he became fucking Darth Vader. They're making Hitler. That's how Hitler happened.
That was a good feeling that my new stuff that I just wrote was doing much better than my old stuff.
She'd come home and I'd immediately hit her with like, I don't know, Kermit the Frog doing 9 Inch Nails or something like that. I want to fuck you like an animal. Animal.
I did the voices bit, which I didn't get a chance to do at Stateside Lounge.
I do a lot of what my ex-wife called fucking voices.
It also went much better because I personalized it. I said my ex-wife called them fucking voices instead of just my girlfriends. That makes me sound like a coos instead of just a sea, an endless sea of whores, nameless whores.
She'd get off of a hard day's work, like a hard day. She was in a call center, so that's hard time. She worked in a call center.
Good, that came up on the spot too. She was doing hard time at a call center. Because it's fucking terrible.
Or she'd want me to watch one of her Disney movies with her, and so I'd be like, well, I'll show you what Mickey Mouse is like off stage, like Like off the clock Mickey Mouse. I've been doing this shit for 100 fucking years.
The best part was, which I came up with completely on the spot, was the Mickey Mouse bit. I did the Mickey Mouse bit. I'll kick you in the cock.
I'll be in my trailer, because that's where the coke is. Ha Fuck it, that's the best Mickey Mouse in town.
I came up with that on the spot, and I still love it to this day. It's one of my new favorite parts of that set.
See, I told you, man. That's not a ghost. He just looks dead. That's Christopher Walken, man. That's right, boys. I'd have gotten away with it too if it weren't for you meddling kids. Keep attacking him.
One lady was loving it. She just laughed the whole fucking time. I don't know if she just loves everybody up there and is very supportive, but I don't give a shit. She kept me going.
All right, I'm gonna leave you guys with that.
Tune in next week to see if I'm able to turn it around or if I continue to eat shit.
I don't play guitar.
It was just a shitty day. My dad ended up flaking out on me. And I'm just like, fuck this day. I'm writing frog puns.
I was coming for the open mic stand-up show, which is tomorrow night.
Someone challenged me that day to do some material about Donald Trump.
So you went from being pissed at your dad to writing frog jokes? That's a leap.
So I replaced it by drinking more beer. That was a slippery slope.
I'm gonna hand down to the gut there. And, oh, look at that. It's old Beavis. We told him he was going to grow up to be old Beavis.
Hey, butthead. My arm hurts. I feel dizzy. I'm tired.
You're dizzy because you're out of shape, dude.
You could be happier in improv, I think. Bless you. We still have.
Wait, did you say?
I've been a fat guy for a long time, so I know what I'm talking about, Beavis. I'm gonna lose a foot.